With the DNA diet, what we are able to get insight into is how best to manage one's weight. Specifically with regards to carbohydrate intake versus saturated fat intake and the different types of saturated fatty acids, as well as the proportion of carbohydrates versus fats and protein, and what kind of diet would be most appropriate for an individual to manage their weight. The different sections that the DNA diet test covers include fatty acid metabolism, so looking at absorption of specific fats. We're looking at metabolic rate or metabolism, and really in that area looking at genetic variations that would govern one's thermogenesis, or in simpler terms, metabolic rate or ability to burn up fats. What we also look at is eating behavior and satiety and snacking. So what is quite interesting is that not everyone will experience satiety in the same manner. Some people may experience or get hungry much quicker or full much quicker than others, and it's important for your healthcare practitioner to understand this when prescribing a meal plan. What it also covers is carbohydrate responsiveness, so how quickly or how slowly you lose weight with carbohydrate intake, and looking at the amount as well as the quality of the carbohydrate. We also look at areas of taste, so whether you have a sweet taste gene or not, and whether you have difficulty curbing that intake of sweet foods would also influence one's ability to manage one's weight. Another area includes circadian rhythms, and that's where we are looking at one's day-night cycle, and really how being asleep at nighttime versus being awake and being awake when it's light and when one's supposed to be awake will also influence one's ability to manage weight. And then lastly, we look at the area of inflammation and how inflammation may contribute quite significantly towards obesity risk. And so by managing inflammation, we may get better weight loss outcomes. So the recommendations from the DNA diet will cover saturated and unsaturated fatty acid recommendations, total carbohydrate intake, and then also it will give recommendations on one's exercise intensity to manage weight, and then give a final recommendation in the DNA diet test including what diet type would be most appropriate for weight management. So depending on your genetic variation, what diet type, the low fat, the Mediterranean, or the low carb diet would be most appropriate, and then what amount of exercise would be most appropriate for you to manage your weight. The last thing that it recommends or gives insight into is this area of dietary responsiveness or obesity risk. These diet types include the low-fat diet, being very low in saturated and total fat. The Mediterranean style diet would also be a recommendation, and this is where the diet includes a higher monounsaturated fat intake coming from avocado and olive oil, and then being moderate in carbohydrate, but the type of carbohydrate would be very good quality, complex carbohydrate, lots of fruits and vegetables, and with a low saturated fat intake. And then lastly, the low carbohydrate diet might also be a recommendation. And this diet, as the name suggests, is very low in carbohydrates, but the carbohydrates that you are taking in will be complex, healthy carbohydrates. And that diet type would have a higher fat content, but remembering still being low in saturated fat with a higher mono olives and avocado, monounsaturated fat content, as well as a higher polyunsaturated fat content being your fish oils, omega-3 fatty acids, as well as some flaxseed. And then a higher lean protein content. So those are the 3 diet type recommendations that one might get. And then the other recommendation that would come through is the amount of exercise recommended in MET hours. So that is the metabolic value per exercise that would be recommended, and the amount of METs that are recommended would be based on your ability to start burning up fat cells for energy, and so how much exercise do you need to start doing that. This test is important in 2 ways for those individuals who are struggling to lose weight. So who would use the test most, and why would this information be useful, is for individuals who have been struggling to lose weight, individuals who have been typically known as the yo-yo dieters, so lose weight and then put the weight back on, and individuals who have possibly gone on a crash diet and now have lost the weight but want to maintain their weight in a much healthier manner, and then individuals who are possibly at a good weight, have lost weight in a healthy way, but want to just know that for future reference, how best do they manage their weight going forward. So it really is a weight management test and looking at a weight loss approach in a healthy way, and looking at the diet prescription that would be most appropriate for you based on your genes to lose weight. This test is a nice add-on or a useful test in combination with DNA Sport and DNA Health, for the reasons with looking at DNA Sport. With DNA Diet, we're looking at the weight management side of things and then giving recommendations as to how much exercise one might require. And so with sportsmen, it's very important to be able to manage their weight for performance reasons. And then for individuals who are just losing weight or wanting to lose weight, but it's not really about athletic performance, but understanding how much exercise one needs to do and getting insight as to what types of exercise might be most appropriate, that's where you can get the DNA Sport test coming in as a really nice pair with DNA Diet to motivate those individuals to at least get some other benefit besides just weight management out of the test, and therefore improve motivation. With the DNA Health test, health in general is coming from the types of micronutrients, and that's really and specific lifestyle factors, and that's specifically what one gets from the DNA Health test. But the other area is one can never be truly healthy without managing one's weight, and that's where the DNA Diet test has a very important contribution in the overall area of genetic testing.